let's talk about the Houston Texans. Jump us right in there. Give us those 2023 results.
Houston Texans,
Mr. Jeff.
first place in the division. CJ Stroud had a great rookie year. They were 10 wins, 7 losses. They were 7th in passing yards, 22nd in rushing yards, and 13th in points scored.
I like it. What, any notable injuries on the team there in 2023?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tank Dell, I think he broke his leg.
Oh yeah, he did die a little bit.
He got
didn't he?
destroyed. He ended the season on IR, and then they had a lot of offensive line injuries. I have it listed as just along the interior, but that had some effect on the team. But not a ton of other really notable injuries that I feel like we need to remember. CJ Stroud missed a couple games. I think he missed 2 games, so that'll come up in his stats a little bit later. But not overall something to really dig into.
All right. So getting into our 2024 rundown and predictions, let's start with that coaching staff, as we like to do.
It's the same. So not a ton to talk about here. We got the second year for D'Amico Ryans and second year for offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick.
All right. So hit me with the trenches, the O-line. What are we looking at 2024?
So we brought it up in the injuries. They had guys missing time on the interior of the line. We think it could be a good line if everyone is healthy. And I haven't really dug into kind of where those injuries showed up for the team. They have a pretty big disparity between their passing yards and their rushing yards. So 7th in the league in passing, but 22nd in rushing. But I haven't seen a lot of tape to be able to confidently say it was the O-line and they couldn't rush. They were running with Devin Singletary out there last year. Was it a bad O-line, or is he just a bad running back, or were they not really trying to run a lot?
True. I feel you there. Jumping into the QB position, obviously CJ Stroud coming back again.
Yeah,
what's it look like for 24?
People are really, really excited for CJ Stroud. So last year, his rookie year, 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He finished the year as quarterback 11 with 2 missed games. So I'll add in with a quarterback missing 2 games. He's still finishing as 11th in fantasy. Usually you're going to be around a lot of other division leaders or guys that have locked up their playoff spot. So the people that he's around, about half of them missed 1 game. So when you're thinking about his stats compared to other guys, keep that in mind. He missed 2, a lot of them missed 1. His expert consensus ranking for next year from Fantasy Pros is 5th, and I think that's crazy. I have him I did my rankings for quarterbacks today. I have him closer to 9th or 10th with Trevor Lawrence, who I think is ranked way too low. So CJ Stroud had some good stats, but I've seen a lot of guys perform at a higher level multiple times that I would just rank ahead of CJ Stroud going into this year.
Do you think that boost is coming from the Stephon Diggs pickup?
I think so. And I think people just project second-year guys that were good as rookies to take that jump forward. But there's already plenty of guys that have taken that jump forward that are being drafted behind him. Dak Prescott was on the number 1 scoring offense last year. I'd probably take Dak Prescott over CJ Stroud. I like Kyler Murray more. He was injured last year, so we kind of just forget, but he's already been better than CJ Stroud a few times.
Dig it. All right, tell me about the running back situation. What's that running back room look like?
It's going to be really, really different. So last year, their leading rusher, Devin Singletary, he is gone to the Bengals, and to the Giants, and they bring in Joe Mixon from the Bengals. So Joe Mixon, I don't know if you know this. I was surprised when I looked. He finished 5th in half PPR at running backs. Where did you think he had finished?
I had him on my team, and I would have thought even still a lot lower than that. He really felt like a 9 to 5 kind of guy, not especially a superstar to me.
Yeah, yeah. He's getting older. So the expert consensus rankings have him at 15th. Ranked out running backs this year. I have him around 14, 15. So I don't have a lot to complain or really say about there. Where I think that's coming from, like, he's 28. He's moving to a different team. The ability was still there last year. Like, he could still play, but 28, 29, 30 is usually when these guys fall off, and I would rather jump out and let someone else take that fall, even if it means someone else still gets a good year of Joe Mixon. So there's plenty of guys I would take over him to kind of make up that difference in finishing 5th but getting drafted at 10th or at 15th. If I hear anything negative in camp about how he looks, like maybe he's lost a step going to the new team or not picking things up quickly, that's the kind of stuff I would care about in preseason. But I'm not expecting that.
Yeah, totally understand. Let's talk about the wide receiver room.
Yeah, did you want to cover Dameon Pierce in this?
Yeah, I guess if you want to cover do you feel like he is going to be a staple on anybody's fantasy team?
No, and I think
the
thing to cover is just saying make sure he's not. Like, you might draft him and say, like, he's still young, but I don't know that he's someone I'm really targeting anywhere. He was a guy drafted by the previous regime. Like, he was not brought in under D'Amico Ryans and Bobby Slowick. He was brought in under Lovie Smith. He was a day 3 draft guy. There's plenty of examples of guys like Dameon Pierce or Myles Gaskin a couple years ago in Miami that were later round picks. They have one good year. The fantasy community thinks they're going to get better. They're going to take a step forward. They just disappear.
Yeah, especially I feel like with Joe Mixon coming in there, who I think does pretty well with the receiving and the running portion of it.
Yes.
Just seeing less.
Yeah. If Joe Mixon were to get hurt and miss time, even then, maybe Dameon Pierce becomes the main guy. I mean, they brought in Devin Singletary last year to eventually become that main guy. We don't know that. I think they drafted a rookie in the 6th round who I'm not expecting to have a fantasy impact in year 1, but if Mixon were to get hurt, we don't know that he wouldn't become the guy over Dameon Pierce.
Yeah.
They're both third-day guys. It's really just what they want for that offense. I think we've spent enough time on Dameon Pierce.
Dig it. All right, wide receivers.
Speaking of dig it, they brought in Stephon Diggs in a trade from the Bills. So that's going to put that trio of Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell all kind of... Who would you say is the number 1 on this team?
I mean, you want to say Diggs, right? Because he's had a lot of success at a couple different places. But also, like, that connection from last season, that's kind of a big thing. Like, when you're a younger QB, you have somebody you're already comfortable with. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I would still say Diggs because I'm a meatball, and it's a name that I've known for a long time. But, yeah.
I'm sticking with the meatball take. I'll probably end up with... I think it will be Diggs. I don't really know how he's going to do here. He's 30 and 31 this year during the season. This will be his 3rd team in his career, with both teams before that deciding to just ship him out in a trade. Vikings sent him off. Vikings got a fair amount back when they traded him to the Bills, but if he was like really easy to work with, I think they would have extended him. The Bills got kind of tired of what he wanted to do there and sent him out. So that's a bit of my holdup. If I was just looking at stats or age, I really don't know. I think with this one, we want to hear what happens in camp to kind of get a shakedown of what's going on with Diggs, Collins, or Tank Dell.
Yeah,
I expect it's going to be one of Diggs or Nico Collins who becomes the alpha there. But if things stay the way they are now, with guys they're being drafted at 18th receiver for Collins and 21st for Diggs, I'd probably just take whichever one goes later between those two and see.
Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, because that there's a lot of yardage to go around for the Texans if things repeat what they were last year. Especially if kind of like you said, if Stroud has that step up in that second year, which could, I don't know, potentially go either way there.
Yeah.
Tight end position.
This is a pretty short one here. They've got Dalton Schultz. He's being drafted to go 14th. I think that's spot on. I think if you draft him, you'll have a usable guy week in, week out at good value for what you're getting. I'm locked and loaded with that. Obviously there's better options out there. He's at 14, but I think he's got guys ahead of him like Brock Bowers, rookie for Vegas, and I think that's kind of gross. I have him as tight end 10 or 12, like good to go.
Yeah, cool. What are your big three takeaways for this team? Like, who are you trying to make a move for, or where would you put like a C.J. Stroud in your draft lineup? A Stephon Diggs. What's your big three here?
I don't think I'm gonna get C.J. Stroud anywhere in any league. What I was saying before with there's just guys who've already done it that I would rather have. If you're buying C.J. Stroud at the 5th quarterback, you're paying for him at a projected ceiling he hasn't hit, when you could just get someone else who's already hit it. Or if you look at someone like Trevor Lawrence 2 years ago, had the stat line C.J. Stroud had last year, and then took a step back. So it doesn't. Yeah. You don't have to look very hard to find a situation where we thought someone was good and about to be great, and they just took that little step back.
Mm-hmm. Any other big takeaways? Are you going, if you were to have a clean draft, would you go Stephon Diggs at your wide receiver 1 position?
Wide receiver 1 for Stephon Diggs, probably not. I'm probably just going to end up staying away from this because it's just too hard to tell right now. And then third thing for this team, safe tight end. If you don't find value in your draft, just take Dalton Schultz.
It's going to be a fun team to watch this year. This is definitely a team where I'm going to be tuning into every single game. And just because there is so much potential and you really do want somebody to succeed like that, I always think it's good to see young QBs doing better because it feels like there's hope for the future and we're not going to be stuck in a constant cycle.
Just hope for our future in life.
Hope for our future, yes, yeah. That not everything is Patrick Mahomes getting everything cool. Like there's maybe other
just cool
people
to see,
out there.
Yeah, young guys come up, be all right.
And same thing with coaching and whatnot too, where it really seemed like that coaching staff had a system figured out for him to succeed and not trying to shoehorn him into something else. Especially
they can't. I guess that'll be a third takeaway is they came in right away, rookie, and started performing. They're going from a last place schedule to a first place schedule. So I think that ends up being about 4 or 5 games this year that will just be, in general, a little bit harder. Teams will have film on this team. Can they adjust preemptively and get something else out there to throw people off, or do they take a step back?
Yeah. Is that momentum going to carry on throughout this year?
Yeah, I don't think so.